Miniladd, a name in the YouTube content community that evokes both a current sense of confusion and anger if asked in certain crowds. Though a year or two ago, just prior to the controversy of the modern day, Miniladd was a herald of hilarity and a beloved member of content creators' stratosphere. But now his channel on Twitch is no more. His YouTube channel sits woefully empty and forgotten, and for all intents and purposes, the creator, once known for his amicable attitude and an infectious laugh, has all but faded from the memory of the internet. So what the hell happened? Miniladd, also known by his real name of Craig Thompson, was once a respected creator. You can still peruse through his old content on YouTube and see some of his big hits, though it does bring with it a certain feeling of disgust when done nowadays. I mean, we could spend all day going through some of his more iconic moments and videos, but frankly we would be both far more depressed than we already are at the topic of this video, and we'd be here for like an hour as opposed to a few minutes. So the year is now 2020, the year of shit hitting the fan, and the entire world feeling like it's suffering from a terminal case of the I hate everybody syndrome. I mean, not everything in 2020 was bad, right? Alright, fuck! Alright. I guess 2020 was actually pretty awful in total. Fuck you, 2020. So the year is 2020, and suddenly the world of Miniladd and his community of almost 5 million strong subscribers have their world rocked by the introduction of a fresh allegation against the content creator in name. These allegations would come in the name of two girls named Ash and Haley. They both run different channels across social media like Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, where they do makeup tutorials and beauty content. They accused Miniladd of manipulative sexual efforts towards them while they were underage, and Miniladd was well into his early 20s. Of course, people were initially very hesitant. Ash and Haley both included an absolute load of photos and screenshots across different platforms like Snapchat, Discord, Messenger, and Twitter of Miniladd saying all sorts of weird and creepy things. And it's also important to mention that Haley, one of the girls who was mentioned just before, worked as one of his admins on Discord and had access to a lot of PMs and DMs that a lot of people were not privy to up until this point in time. We're not privy to up until this point in time because it was just between them two. I mean, I would think that's obvious, but it's worth mentioning. I left links to their exposés in the description, and at this point, most of the more grossly detailed instances have already been covered by much better content creators than myself. So if you need more detailed information, then feel free to check those out and read through the... Yeah, either way, Miniladd all of a sudden looked to be quite the creepy guy. But no worries, right? Clearly it would all pan out and these girls would be revealed as conniving and lying. Right? 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 The silver lining behind the cloud vanished as Miniladd came forward and released a video titled Clearing the Air, which released shortly after the man went back to Ireland, which seemed like very suspicious timing considering everything that was going on in the US. In the video, he starts by saying that he never met either of the girls and that he never intended to, despite the fact that in the screenshots he mentions it a few times, so already this video was off to a tremendously horrible start. The video never really gets any better as you go through it, and as Craig continued to bury himself under a mountain of hypocrisy, double standards, inconsistencies, and failure to introduce any of his own proof when he used the exact words, debunking the rumors around my behavior. So now the walls of Craig's own Jericho were beginning to crumble, and it seemed like there was really only one way out. The only way out. The old YouTuber's classic get out of jail semi-free card. An apology video.
I've told you guys exactly what's going on. As my fans, you guys deserve to know what's going on, and I hope this video helps you understand everything better, and I want to apologize for the things that I've done. I'll try and make this video as short as I can.
So at the time of his apology video being released, the animosity among the internet community, including his own, was reaching a boiling point. The allegations were becoming more and more difficult to refute, and so far, Craig had only supplied evidence from that wonderfully enigmatic source of honesty and truth, just trust me bro, you know me. So releasing an apology video was, well, I guess not the worst thing that he could have done, but it was not at all the decision that he needed to make, and especially not like this. And then the video came out, and the response was... yeah, wow, it was not good. I won't go through the video step by step because who wants that? And what it did start off with was so boilerplate false apology that it borders on parody at times. He says the usual things like, this isn't Miniladd talking, this is Craig. This isn't my PR team talking.
This is no more PR teams, no more anything like that. This is just Craig. This isn't Miniladd. this is Craig talking.
Which is probably the worst thing that you could have said, because it makes this other video entirely irrelevant by inadvertently admitting that it wasn't the real you who was dismissing these claims and going through this rough patch and being made out to be a monster. You admitted that it was somebody else who was doing that for you, and you were just the spokesperson. You were just the talking head. So, yeah, Miniladd fucked up. And then he said exactly what his community didn't want to hear and released a series of screenshots that confirmed that he was willingly grooming and having sexual conversations with someone who was underage. Oh yikes. And then he tried to semi-justify it by saying that he was at a point where he was actively considering suicide and figured there was no harm in a little virtual hanky-panky off to the side.
I did try to end my life at the beginning of 2017. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for anything. This is not what this is about. This is telling you guys the reason. And I just want you to understand.
Now, why did he admit this? I guess because his community was rapidly turning against him, and after the atrocious prior video, he felt like his back was up against the wall. But still, he admitted to being a predator. I mean, the video is still up, and you can watch the full thing for yourself. It starts off on like the worst foot it possibly could have, and basically just results in Miniladd confirming the bias of his accusers and the eventual truth of the events that led to this point. Now we sit squarely in the tail end of 2021. Time flies. The bitterness and crash landing of Craig Thompson feels like it happened a lifetime ago. And yet, it was only like 7 months ago, nearly a year after the apology video, that Twitch banned his channel. Miniladd's legacy is one of the most frustrating for a lot of the YouTube community. I mean, sometimes you get people who seem to be targeted for no reason other than being popular. Sometimes it seems that people are just incapable of admitting to the truth of what happened and try to make a resurgence only to be shut down. Sometimes you just truly don't know what happened because the stigma around the supporting creators stops you from properly investigating events. But Miniladd, aka Craig, falls pretty squarely into a camp all on his own. From day one, he repeatedly made very stupid decisions, and then tried to justify those decisions by being a manipulative piece of shit who got caught with his pants down both literally and figuratively. Honestly, the best way to have avoided the massive toxic fallout this all was brought upon him, I mean, the simplest solution usually is the right one. Occam's razor. Say nothing, work with your team, apologize privately to the victims, don't turn it into a thing, face the music, take your legal punishment if applicable, and leave. Instead, Craig decided to bury himself under his own inability to humanize and empathize because, well, who wants to stop being famous? So thanks for checking out the video, guys. I realize it's a little bit more of a dour topic, and it's still a bit of a sore point for a lot of people within the YouTube content community. Miniladd was a beloved content creator to many people, and a lot of his content and his personality is definitely going to be a little bit missed by a lot of people. But that being said, the man did admit to doing these things, and unfortunately, with all the corroborating evidence and everything that happened with him and these atrocious videos he released trying to clear the air on it, all it did was just convince his community that it was time to move on for greener pastures, and that he would just be lost as a footnote of yet another person who turned out to be a much worse person than anybody could have expected. But be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the whole Miniladd controversy. I know there's a lot of opinions on it. I know there's a lot of people that are very angry about it because it's still kind of fresh for a lot of people. But nonetheless, I would like to hear from you. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more content like this. And I will talk to you next time.